honest, there is a lot to do. There are these massive castles for Total War Warhammer, and there's this giant, incredible dinosaur T-Rex for Ark Survival, and there's all sorts of cosplay on the show floor. But the coolest thing I saw wasn't even on the show floor. It was outside. There were Overwatch Uber cars, and they were driven by stunt people dressed as Overwatch characters. It was unbelievable. My driver was Tracer, fully decked out in all the Tracer gear, but she was actually a really rad stunt woman who revved the engine as much as she could, and I just had a fantastic time, and I would have to say it's the most memorable thing that will happen at this PAX by far.
So I spent a lot of time on the show floor here at PAX, but I have to say my favorite booth is the Adult Swim Games booth. It's not flashy, it's just all games, plain and simple. And there were two in particular that I think are my favorite games of the show. There's Katana Zero, which really reminds me of Hotline Miami. It's got this great 80s soundtrack that's kind of Perturbator-esque, and you play as a samurai who can stop time. But you and your enemies are all just as powerful, and you get hit by one kill. So every time you enter a room, you have to kill everyone before they kill you. And if you get killed, you have to start at the beginning. It sounds really frustrating, but it's one of those games that requires muscle memory, and you have to think about what you did and learn from your mistakes. And I loved it. The second one was Death's Gambit, which is totally what you're going to be playing when you finally beat Dark Souls 3 and have nothing else to play. It's exactly like Dark Souls, only it's got this really great pixel art style, and there's a couple of little tweaks that make it feel, I guess, a little bit more like Bloodborne than actual Dark Souls. And the bosses are awesome. You have these tiny little encounters in small arenas, or you have these giant crazy beasts, and I love that variety. So those are my two favorite games of PAX, Adult Swim Games. Good job, Adult Swim Games.
So the best thing I saw was a game called Shadow Warrior 2, which yes is a sequel to a very linear game called Shadow Warrior. The second one is not linear at all, it is procedurally generated. So you're gonna have the same objectives in every mission, but the place where you're actually doing those objectives changes every time. And it is a shooter, but it's not your military tactical shooter like your Call of Duties or your Battlefields. Sometimes you just want dumb fun, and that's exactly what Shadow Warrior 2 is. I got shotguns, I got this crazy cursed poison gun, I got Wolverine claws, I got a samurai sword, I'm fighting demons, it's awesome. Sometimes I just want to turn my brain off and kill, and that's exactly what that game lets me do.
So I saw a lot of games at PAX, but I'd have to say my favorite one is Outlast 2. I'm a big fan of horror games, and I really like the first one, so the fact that 2 is still kind of playing on that sense of dread that you feel throughout the entire experience is really appealing to me. It still has that look over the shoulder option that kind of makes it's not just about jump scares, you're getting chased, you're just running into these maniacal village dwellers, whatever the hell you call them. So yeah, it's about this couple that are both investigative journalists, and they come to see what's going on with this darkness that's fallen over Arizona or somewhere in the desert in the Southwest. And of course, shit hits the fan, and you're just rambling through this village trying to avoid people with butcher knives. And it's got a really gruesome ending to the demo we played, but I won't spoil it. But basically, I'm really looking forward to the game. Anyway, we saw a lot of games. There's a lot of coverage on GameSpot. So go check those out. Let us know which ones are most appealing to you, and we'll see you next time.